What's going on, everybody? My name is Stephen Coons, and welcome to the Everyday Pursuit podcast. I am your badass host, and today I am talking about something maybe a little more like emotional and serious, kind of near and dear to my heart when it comes to training, and that is mental health around training. So I will be really transparent on this episode. I'll tell you some personal things that I kind of went through in my life so you can get to know me a little bit more. But I feel like I just need to be vulnerable with my audience, and I want you guys to know what lifting did for me. So I got into lifting in high school. I was like an athlete all my life, mostly like since I was little. And I grew up with two older brothers that weren't really super athletic. So I was kind of like the black sheep, but in a good way. Like I was the athletic one. I was kind of like the jock. So, some people will be like, oh, you have, an advantage or whatever. I actually say I do. I'm just really driven. I'm not like an amazing athlete, but I'm pretty athletic. And so I do have that going for me. However, I didn't really realize that I struggled with like anxiety and like until I was probably in high school. And then I definitely didn't realize I struggled with depression until I was probably like in my like mid 20s. Like I didn't really understand that I suffered with it. Now I will tell you that I know some people within my family and close friends that struggle with severe depression and severe anxiety. I'm not on any medication. That's just a personal choice. I don't have anything against it. But for me, I just didn't want to take it. I saw people that took it and how it made them act and what it did to them. And I think any medication, regardless of what it is, unless it's, life-threatening, like insulin, it's a means to an end. Like so you take it, but what happens when you stop taking it? Well, I just take it forever. Okay, that's totally up to you. I just didn't want to be, I don't like the fact of being super dependent on a medication. However, some people do have different chemical things with their brains. So I totally understand that. And I'm not a medical professional. My wife's a nurse, and I know people that are doctors. There's doctors in our program and nurses in our program. I'm psychologists in our program. So I've talked to people about it, and I don't have anything against it. But here's where I kind of realized that exercise was my saving grace. So I had a kid really, well, I'll just backtrack a little bit more. So played sports my whole life. Got into weightlifting in high school when I was like 15, 16-ish when I played football, and then I wrestled for the rest of high school. And then after high school, I got into college and kept weightlifting and got in the military and kept weightlifting. But during that time, I had a kid at 19 years old, and it was very stressful. I love my son, but to be transparent with you guys, it was unplanned. I was like going to college. I had to join the military, which I didn't like not want to do, but I really wasn't looking forward to that. I wanted to be a firefighter. That was my main goal. And I remember during that time, I was like so freaking stressed out. I'm like, all right, I'm still like a kid. I'm having a kid. Like, oh my God, I'm in college. What am I going to do? Like kind of freaking out. And the gym was like that place where I could clear my head and come back and be a better person because, and I've talked about this before too. I think every single person has like a little inner bitch voice and a shitty voice, and they're usually the same person. And what I mean is you have like a weaker version that like tells you that you can't do things or tells you to treat people worse. And you have a decision every single day to be a good person and to make good decisions. But it's really hard when your chemicals aren't right. Like I would 100% say that. So you would like, let's just say you had a day where you were extremely depressed and irritable and had really bad anxiety. Which voice do you think is going to be the loudest in your head, right? The weaker voice, the voice that's maybe more mean, more judgmental, more quick to anger, versus what if you could take a medication and that medication could change you immediately. You're happy, and then you start treating people better and making better decisions, and your outlook on life is better. Like you've seen those, I don't know what the medication is, but those commercials where the guy's like walking, he's all like mopey, and then he, they talk about the medication. He's like looking at the sun and noticing the birds. He's all happy. I've talked to people with severe depression, and sometimes the medication's like that. The only thing, and I will say I've never taken depression or anxiety medication, so I don't know. But the only thing that I know that makes me like that, like a better person, is when I exercise. Now, there's a lot of things that happen in the brain when you exercise. You release a lot of endorphins, you release a bunch of dopamine. So really in my how I look at it is like if you're releasing dopamine and serotonin, which is the feel good chemical, that's the same thing these antidepressants can do. They make those receptors a little bit stronger. Anxiety medication's a little bit different, as far as I know, but I'm not an expert in this field. But the thing about exercise is when I first and I knew I was hooked, and this was probably right out of college. When I was in high school, I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of stress. It was okay. Like I knew it made me feel good, but I didn't have bills and a life and a kid and in the military and moving to a new state and doing all these things. And during that time, I had like so much freaking anxiety, and the anxiety turned into depression. And if you have anxiety, you probably have depression. And if you have depression, you probably have anxiety. And for me, they're both the same. And this is how it works. I get anxious about something. And then I realize, because anxiety is anticipation in the future. Oh, it's going to be bad, right? Not present tense. It's almost always anticipatory. It's in the future. And then I'm like, well, I can't do anything about this situation. And then that makes me feel powerless. And when you feel powerless, it sucks. It's such a depressing feeling. You're like, you just are like, have to take on the shitstorm. And then I was depressed, and I knew I was depressed, which gave me more anxiety about what I was going to be like if I stayed depressed, which made me more depressed. You understand? Like this is and if you guys are watching, it's like, yeah, he's right. This is a never ending cycle. So the only thing that I've realized like during that time in my life that made me not fall into that cycle was when I worked out. Every day I went to the gym, not perfect. Sometimes I'm a jerk, but most every time I went to the gym, especially in the morning, I was like super chipper my whole day. I was just freaking happy. I'm like, dude, all I need to go to the gym. If I go to the gym today, it's a good day. If I don't go to the gym, it's not a good day. And I can't tell you how many veterans that we train that I know that have PTSD or have anxiety or have depression and stress, because we do train a lot of first responders, and they struggle a lot with depression and anxiety because they have really busy, crazy jobs. Some of the law enforcement see brutal things, or firefighters. And so they just have a lot of stuff in their brain. And when you're working out, a couple things happen. Number one, you're actually focused on the lift, which means you're not thinking about other things. In a society where it's going a million miles an hour, that's pretty much all we do, right? We think about all this crazy, busy stuff. Everything's happening and this notification and the world's falling apart here. So when you're working out, you just are there and you're just focusing on the lift, and you're really focused, hopefully. You're putting your headphones in, listening to your music. And then when you leave, you feel really good. So I started going to the gym in the morning because I noticed when I was in the morning, I could ride that high for the rest of the day. And when I didn't go, especially if you don't go one day, you're fine probably. But if you're an avid gym person and you miss 3 or 4 days, you literally start becoming depressed. So you can feel your chemical balance in your freaking brain change 100%. So that's what got me hooked. I kind of knew I did struggle with OCD in high school. And I promise you that I have, if you can't tell by the way I talk and everything, that I have some type of ADD or ADHD. I've actually read books and I was like, yeah, that's exactly me. But again, I knew that I could use it to my advantage as long as I exercise. So that's another thing that I probably struggle with. And I don't like to put these labels on myself and you're like, well, I didn't even go to a doctor. I actually have been diagnosed with anxiety. I chose not to take medication. When I was little, I did get diagnosed with ADD. That was a long, long time ago. And I just don't give a shit, to be honest with you. I don't care. And this is how my mind works. I don't care what somebody says. Oh, you have this. Cool, label me. It doesn't matter whether I have it or I don't have it. I am who I am and I act how I act. Can I change that? Absolutely. And this is how I change it. I don't need your medication. And it's nothing against people that do it. I just am like, no, I'm just going to exercise. Because when I'm exercise, I'm fine. I'm focused. I'm nice. I'm clear-headed. Everything's better. All I have to do is go to the gym. Oh, and I get to look better. Oh, and it gives me more confidence. Oh, and I built a career off of it. Awesome. Right? So that's how it worked for me. It was in my bones, like a calling from God, just you need to do this. And then like kind of, one thing led to another. And I've gone through so many stressful things in my life. Like, man, I mean, I ended up getting out of the Air Force. I got a divorce while I was deployed in Afghanistan, my first deployment on the other side of the world. I came back, had to become a single parent to my son for over 2 years, had to get out of the military, had to move, had to go to a college, live with my parents, move back to Arizona, go to college there, live with my mom for a little bit, get a new place. My my present wife, passed, like she was my girlfriend. We moved in together. Then my son had a new mom, and I was going to college full time for 3 years in like nonstop, no summers off or anything, because I was using the GI Bill while I was getting certifications, while I was doing fitness modeling, while I was working at different things in the fitness industry. My life was stressful. Then I graduated when I had COVID, or when COVID started, sorry. And then I had to get another job outside of the fitness industry because the gym shut down. And then during that, I had to start training people on the side to get my wife through nursing school. So I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And right after that, I started this business. So that's not me boasting or bragging. I'm just telling you, like, my life's been a million miles an hour. It's been very, very stressful. And the only thing, I swear to God, the only thing that's like kept me grounded and alive and moving forward and pressing on is the work I put in the gym. Mentally, it's helped me get through more things in business and life than anything else. I'm like, if I can show up when I'm cold, dark, tired, hungry, and I could just go day after day, and it's like, it needs to be done. So, and I've done episodes on this too. It's like, Stefan, you need to go to the gym for so many reasons. Number one, you need to set example. Number two, you need to do it for your mental health. And number three, like, you made this commitment to yourself. So I don't care how you feel you're going. That's the conversation I have. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got to go. Right? Because we have that other inner weaker voice and the stronger one. And so I go. And then every time I go, I'm like, man, it's such a good decision. I'm glad I went, right? You see those memes. Nobody ever feels crappy after they go to the gym or whatever it says. You're right. And so now I have such a strong reinforcement that I don't really have to have those battles. I just go because I already know that if I have that conversation in my head, the stronger one's going to win because I built that version up so much and I know the benefit and I long for it. It's a drug. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to have the post-workout high. Like, it's going to be so good. Dude, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to be freaking firing on all cylinders. And I look forward to it. And it's like the healthiest, natural version of a drug that God gave us. And we all need to take advantage of it. It's only adding to your life. Well, I'm too busy. What are you too busy doing? Because if you were to subtract from another area in your life and do more exercise, whatever that other thing that you're doing, I guarantee you wouldn't bring you as much happiness and value as exercise. Because I know the things you're doing because you say you don't have time. Instagram, TikTok, Netflix, Facebook, all those things, right? Just whatever other hobby you have. And the thing is, exercise isn't all day long. It's literally just like 45 minutes or an hour. Go to the gym for 30 minutes and run on the treadmill. You'll feel like $1 million the next 3 hours. You're going to be like, I feel good, right? So, I get you guys want to exercise to look phenomenal. I do. It's important to me. I want to look good. It matters to me. My image matters to me. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel confident. I want to feel sexy for my spouse. And I, want people to look up to me and be like, that guy's fit and that guy's healthy. But I honestly don't think I would be as consistent if I didn't have the mental health benefit. Like 100%, 1,000%. I know I wouldn't be the shape I'm in. So if anything draws you, if you're like, and I've talked to people like, I don't really care about my physique that much. Fine. Don't care about your physique. Do you care about your bank account? Hell yeah, you do. If you care about your bank account, you better work out. Why? Well, let me tell you, if you're working out and your brain is more clear-headed and you have more energy and you have more stamina and you're more just like firing on all cylinders and you feel more productive and you have more courage and confidence, because those are all things that happen, and you carry yourself with a puffed up chest and you're like, feel good, you're going to attract people with higher energy that have more success. You're going to get the raises. You're going to get the girl. You're going to get all the things you want. Like, it will happen. Okay. I promise. Like, people that work out and are in good shape, they end up being more successful for the most part. I know there's people that aren't, It's just the way you carry yourself. And this is the thing. If you're putting in the work and you're exercising and you're like feeling good mentally and obviously physically too, right? Yeah, I'm looking better. You will demand more good things in your life. Like you won't settle for shitty things. You won't settle for toxic people, toxic relationships, bad jobs. Cause you're like, I work hard. I put in the work and I'm not settling for mediocrity. Right. And you see it a lot. People that are fit are like high achievers, right? Or you might see the high achievers and be like, he's in good shape. The in shape happened before, buddy. I promise you. It did to me. I've been in shape the vast majority of my life and I didn't have like any career success except the past couple of years. So I worked and was just building up the base of the pyramid, but I never stopped. Why? Because I built up so much tenacity and look, I almost didn't even know. I was like, I like working out. Look at the health benefit. And the reason I focus so much on the mental health and the health is because there is another side of the fitness industry that's like very vain. And I have friends that are bodybuilders that have the worst body image issues I've ever seen. Like they're jacked and shredded and they can't stop thinking about the way they look. And I've gone through those phases when I did fitness modeling and I've, even sometimes battled with those, but I don't want it to just be like that. I want it to do it also for the mental health benefit. And I really do think the older I get, it's not that I don't care about what I look like, but I care a lot less. I'm so much more concerned with me being like mentally healthy and showing up the way I should as a father for my son and the way I should as a spouse for my wife and the way I should as a leader for this company and my being a business owner and showing up for my friends as a supporter and an awesome friend. Like I'm telling you, for me, I can only do those things if I keep working out. And maybe if I stop working out, then maybe medication could help me do that. But I just don't think I would feel good because I didn't like earn it, right? Like, and people think that you don't have to earn to feel good. Yes, you do. Who told you in life that life was supposed to just be about happy and feeling good all the time? Because that's a bullshit lie. That is a complete lie. Life is just about life. It's just life, which is everything. Hurt, sorrow, pain, suffering, happiness, sadness, loneliness, joy, like every emotion, that's life. Sure, we want to hang on to the ones that are great, but happiness wouldn't be happiness without sadness. It would just be another day, right? Like sunshine wouldn't be great unless you experience rain. You need the yin and the yang and the opposite. So, I want you guys to focus on the mental health benefit, if anything. And I've trained so many clients that really struggled with like staying consistent with the gym because in their head, it was so physical. They're like, oh, my physical progress, like I'm losing weight so slow and I still have my belly and like, it just doesn't seem worth it. And I'm like, how do you feel after the gym? I feel like $1 million. Okay. Like, do you think you get more done? Yeah. Like I get more done. I'm like, have more energy with my son. Okay. That's not enough for you. And they end up getting, by the way, they end up getting physical results. Cause the thing is, I'm like, what if that was your driver? What if like the way you showed up for your son or the way you showed up for your spouse, cause you're just like a happier and you're not as naggy or bitchy to them. Like, what would that look like? And they're like, dude, you're right. And they start going to the gym more. And what do you know? By going to the gym more and making healthier decisions, they just lose the weight. They just gain the muscle. They just increase their performance because they're more consistent. That is how it's done. If you're always worried about your physique, which isn't necessarily bad, I just think it's kind of a never-ending game. And especially if you find yourself not being as motivated, if you're like, I'm really struggling with motivation, just worry about the mental health benefit. That doesn't mean go to the gym and just do random things that make you feel good, because that's what people do with group fitness. They go, I feel so good after the class. And they do. They worked out hard, they sweat, their endorphins are all released, but they're not even making any of the progress they want in their body. So there is a fine line. You have to be on a structured program. You have to work out hard. Your nutrition has to be on point, but you also get a huge mental health benefit. So, it's been my saving grace. Literally, like if I stop working out today, I think within a month, I would be on probably depression medication, maybe, probably definitely anxiety medication. And I don't think it'd be a large dose, but I do think that I've struggled with it in the past and currently kind of have it, but it's extremely manageable when I work out. It really, really, really is. Some days it's a little bit more because I have a super stressful day, but I can tell you what, if I got a hard ass workout in and my day was a 10 out of 10 stressful, it's going to feel like a 6. It will. I'll be like, okay, like I'm just so much more calm. I'm just can handle things. I can think about things from a more like a logical standpoint. I don't get all frazzled and stuff. I'm just like cool, calm, and collected, because when you're working out, especially like high intensity or push it really hard, your body has a negative feedback loop, which means it actually does the opposite because it tries to go back to homeostasis. So you're super stressed, you're releasing adrenaline and all these things. And then what your body does is go, oh, opposite, calm down. Because you're way up here. I need to bring you down. And it just shuttles all these feel-good chemicals, all these relaxing chemicals. And it's freaking amazing. So if you don't get hard workouts in, if you're just sitting there and working out half-ass and you're just trying to get a good physique, just stop. You're probably not going to do it long enough to stay motivated. Please realize the mental benefit and how working out makes you become a better version, not just because you look better naked, which sure, that can play a role into it, but it's literally the earned confidence, the chemicals that are being released in your brain, how you carry yourself, the respect you demand from other people. Like it literally changes your life. And I've seen it personally transform hundreds of people's lives, like not even the same person, a completely different version that would have never existed if they didn't actually commit to themselves, put in the hard work, and transform their lives. So hopefully this episode was helpful, guys. I really appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you next time.